Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield, and we have a special guest today. We promised the show on Tuesday. We lied. It's coming today. Jamie Thomas, former host here on the Upshot, joins us once again. Jamie, what's going on?
You can blame me for the Tuesday one. That one's on me.
Well, it turns out that if I text you Tuesday morning and be like, hey, are you available right now? I forgot to text you. That maybe the blame is on me.
That worked when we weren't dads,
That's
okay?
Right.
That was a different era.
We got the triple dad show right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Jamie, your son just celebrated for his birthday, right?
Yeah, my youngest just turned 1 on Father's Day. That was a fun little
Love that.
party we threw. Yeah, shares a birthday with one of his cousins, so it ended up being like a whole
nice.
family affair over here.
Did you give him cake?
Oh, yeah. It's the smash cake.
Yeah, that's like a thing,
that's
right?
the rage. And
Designed to
he
be
went
smashed.
designed to be smashed and just, hands straight in it. The kid has never seen a piece of food he doesn't like. He's an absolute champion eater so far, so par for the course.
Well, we're all here today as we reconvene around our preseason fantasy draft to take a look at where things stand, and we're making waiver wire picks. So we'll break it all down, but I think we should begin by just reminding everybody what the rules of the draft were and how the scoring works. Josh, can you just give us a rundown of how that all goes?
Happy to do it. So this year, we are only basing it on Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. We will run through averages. Whether you do averages or sum, it doesn't really matter. It's whoever's got the lowest points. We do not delineate between MPO and FPO. You have 10 players on your team. You are required to have 5 of each, but those are all just combined into one big pool of an average for players. The standings that we have are through today, but we did decide to do a waiver at the end of the Beaver State Fling that rewarded the most number of wins. So through the West Coast Swing, we calculated the number of wins that each team has. They will then get the opportunity, and that will set the draft order for waiving some players. So that's the breakdown of the rules and where we're at to this point.
Originally, we were planning to do a single player waiver. We've decided to make it 2. You must drop 2 players and pick up 2 new players. You can choose whether you want to pick up FPO or MPO players, but you have to make 2 drops and 2 pickups. And we will do like Snake for the ordering. I'll just let everybody know right now, Josh and Jamie's team both have 8 wins. My team has 7 wins. Pretty interesting how well distributed that ended up being.
It is.
Evelina Salonen for Jamie doing a lot of work alongside Gannon Burr, who each have 3 wins apiece. Josh has Kristen, Owen, and Missy, who deliver him 7 of his 8 wins. Nicholas Antila grabbing 1. And wow, what a pick that was. We'll talk about that. I got 3 from AB, 2 from Calvin, 1 from Paige, and 1 from Ella. So we decided that because Jamie went second in the primary draft, Jamie, you're going to get the honors as that being the tiebreaker to go first in the waivers, but I will pick second.
I think that's justice, too, since Silva did just win. So my team has 9 wins to
That's a
today.
good point.
Nicholas also won, though.
Oh, fair. Okay, fair.
That's also a good point.
Fair.
We did not count those wins for this procedure, although it would have made no difference. Before we get to our waivers, I just want to take a look at where things stand. First of all, Josh is in first place with an average of 9.7 in the Pro Tour standings for his 10 players, which is very impressive. I am in second, but barely. I'm at 14.6 average. Jamie is at a 14.8 average. And it's interesting because we're all being held back by different things and different reasons. So we'll get into that right now because I want to take a look at like what were the good picks, what were the bad picks, and kind of looking back as on what we know now, like kind of where the winning picks were and what didn't make sense. So I think I have to start by just giving Josh props because Nicholas Antila is his best MPO player right now at number 2 in the standings, and he got him in the 10th round.
Mr. Irrelevant. He was the final pick of the draft.
That is crazy.
He even kind of looks like Brock Purdy a little bit, so like it just feels like it fits.
I got to give him credit, but for almost the opposite reason, because it was intentional when he saw his draft pick order. I'm talking to him like he's not here. Josh, when you saw your draft pick order, you went 3 FPO off the bat, and that is the vast majority of your wins. So you put your eggs in that basket, and it's paid off, though maybe not as much as you expected with Tatar out with an injury, right?
I know, but they're 3-4. I went over and looked at the standings, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have like 1, 3, and 5. I have 3, 4, 5, which is good, but it's not. I mean, you both have the 1 and the 2. Oh, no, excuse me. Sorry. My apologies, Jamie. Jamie, you have the 1 and the 2 in the Pro Tour standings over at FPO. And so
Holland and Evelina, just to be clear. Yeah, I mean, Evelina, what a pick. I mean,
oh, geez, yeah.
You got
the
her sucker
pick. 7th?
The sucker pick, it was called.
I remember saying that, and I had just completely given up hope. Now, it is worth noting, Evelina is coasting a little bit on Euros right now because she's the best player in Europe, and she's
only but only one win
playing there. That's true. I don't want to. I can't knock Evelina. I'm just saying that her overall standing might be a little inflated right now relative to where it will end up, because she's picking up a lot of points in Europe at a time when Kristen's not playing, and there are U.S. players are playing against stronger fields. We'll see. I would be shocked if she finished outside the top 5 for the season.
Yeah,
we're bullish on Evelina over here on Team Jamie. We're good.
I gotta say, I feel pretty good about getting AB in the 8th round.
Yep, there's
Fantastic.
your value pick without a doubt.
I got Ezra Robinson in round 7 too. I'm also pretty happy about that.
Honestly, by the end of the season, Ezra Robinson might be your better finisher.
It's crazy.
I was about to say literally that. Totally agree, Josh.
I have the 3, 4, 5, and 6 players in the Pro Tour standings on the MPO side.
Yeah. You have the top 10. I was looking at that. I was puffing my chest up on having the 1 and 2 in FPO, and I mosey on over to MPO, and that's clearly what's weighing me down right now because Charlie is dominating the top 10.
I have a very difficult decision to make about Eagle McMahon. I knew when I picked Eagle what I was getting myself into. He's currently 49th. Yep. He's my worst performing player, significant by a bit wide margin. Mm-hmm. He's obviously not going to finish 49th. The question is, how high will he finish? And how much risk am I at of, getting punished by having him, even if he ends up, climbing all the way up to like 12th? Could I do better by picking an available MPO player, especially since you guys are probably going to be looking to pick up FPO? I'm going to have my choice in MPO if I think I can improve on Eagle. Even in the world which Eagle plays way better and gets a win or two, he might still not finish inside the top 10. I feel like I need to
head or a heart
decision.
Stats. Yeah, has he shown you enough? This is like a head versus heart decision because when you drafted him, you were already agonizing over the fact that you knew the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you double down on this right now?
I mean, the brutal finish at Champions Cup is not helpful.
Don't even consider that one though. He came back before he should have.
I know. I'm not, but I'm saying from a points perspective, right? It's in the books. He's gonna have to drop that.
Yeah.
So, how many majors do they keep?
They keep 2.
2 out of the 3 for MPO because they don't count USDGC in the Pro Tour standings.
Okay. So he still gets Euro. So
yes,
the question is, how well do you think he's going to play
European Worlds
Open?
combo? How does he do? Because he's basically got he got 2 points at Champions Cup. It's essentially 0.
Which is ultimately what your bet on him was in the first place, that he would show up by European Open and pull another miracle.
And I think I still have a reasonable chance of having. Could he still be the best available MPO player? And I'll just start to give some names of people who are available right now. Gavin Rathbun, Chris Dickerson, Andrew Presnell, Joey Buckets, Ezra Aderholt, just a few names. Gavin Rathbun is 8th in the standings, Dickerson's 9th, and Dickerson hasn't been playing for the last month.
Hey, let's break some news real quick. Chris Dickerson announced on his Instagram that he actually does not have a vascular necrosis on his hip.
Oh, wow.
They went and did another image with contrast, I guess, for the new MRI. And so they say that there is adequate blood supply. It is just arthritis.
So
just, right.
It's still not good, but it's a lot better than what it sounded like it was going to be.
Yes, that's what it seems.
That's
It does
great.
not seem like it's like surgery or bust, basically. So, breaking news for Chris Dickerson. A lot better shape than he thought. So,
He's not playing
fantastic.
preserve because his brother's health has been in decline, and he wanted. Oh, his brother passed away.
his brother passed away.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sorry to hear that, Chris.
Yeah.
So he'll be playing next at Des Moines. Is he going to Europe? I think so. I have some decisions to make. That's really what it comes down to. So let me hear your guys' thought process on kind of where you're at with your teams. Are there players that you're agonizing over?
Jamie, go ahead.
Ooh. All right. We're going to try to get in the first pick's head. I get it here. Look, I have the whole thing when I drafted my team was, high ceiling, maybe regardless of how high or low the floor was. And there were a couple picks, Maria Oliva being one of them, that she hasn't quite showed up like I was predicting her to so far throughout the year. So she's kind of on the chopping block just from a stats perspective right now, though I mean, we have to trade, but ultimately I'm still bullish on her. So that's kind of my number one where I'm going to go with it.
The hard part, though, is at this point, like, wins don't matter, technically, right? It's placement. So a win paired with a 50th is 25th, right? Like, that's the hard part. Up until...
The points skew towards wins a lot.
You're right.
And you can drop bad tournaments. So, like, wins are very valuable.
You are right about that. But, like, if there's enough tournaments, if you hit enough floors, that is going to pull you down.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's what my team's going through right now. Like, I have 5 players at this point. Half my team has won a tournament this year. But the problem is the floor on some of the lesser performances collectively is where I'm falling behind Josh's average finish here.
Well, which is exactly, I said I was going for average finish. Like the
You're
Kyle
playing
Klein
your strategy beautifully.
Kyle Klein, Coradol, and Matty O right in the middle. Those are my 3 worst MPO players at 14, 13, 15. So 13, 14, I guess.
Can we just quickly give a shout out to Katrina Allen? Because I kind of feel like she's on the chopping block, and you picked her, what was it, the day before she announced that she was pregnant on social media?
Totally brutal.
And she has held it together from a playing perspective for your team.
You both have an FPO player that is lower in standings than Katrina
Right?
Allen. So
Good on her.
yeah,
Good on her.
no kidding. She is on the chopping block though.
She has to be dropped. I mean,
Let's,
come on.
let's not
It's
let's not
nothing
beat around the
against
bush
Katrina.
here.
It's just it's
Yeah.
a simple fact.
Yeah,
No.
she got on after today.
I'm going to be curious to see what Josh does with his second selection because
Yeah, you and me both.
He's got Cat Merch, who's 10th, but then he's also got 3 MPOs who are, are they really going to improve from where they are? Cole, Matteo, and Aaron Gossage, they're in the mid-teens. Mm-hmm. That feels like where they're going to finish. A lot of those guys have played every event too.
Yep.
So that's going to be a tricky one because Jamie and I have players who have big numbers right now, but that I expect to improve. Right? So Haley King's 25th.
Right.
I have Eagle, I've already mentioned 49th. Jamie has Simon, who's 29th.
It feels like 9.7 is the bar that is going to stay, and you two need to clear 9.7 to win. Like, I'm not going to move much, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I could drop down to 10 or maybe 11 average finish.
We're going to have to catch you, though. I think that's right.
But
I don't think you're gonna
your teams
implode.
are catching up.
Yeah.
I'm not going
probably
to be comfortable trying to win with outside of a top 10 average finish for sure.
But I'm also not going to move up to like 6, right? Like I don't know what the possible math is, but I don't think I'm moving significantly further down in my average either. Like
I'm doing a little math experiment here, and if I say, okay, Eagle finishes 10th and Haley finishes 10th with no other changes to my picks in any way, I get to 9.2. And that's not that outlandish.
That's definitely possible.
Is Eagle going to get to 10th? Yikes. These are tough decisions.
This mandatory drop is brutal.
Yeah.
I like my team. I'm not going to lie.
Dang it, Charlie.
All right. I already gave you the top MPO players available. Top FPO players available based on current standings. Natalie Ryan at 7, Rebecca Cox at 8, Haiti Lina at 11, Luca Lorenzen at 13, Lisa Fakis at 15. If you wanted to maybe think about another Euro player or two, you've got Anniken Sten at 17 and Rachel Turton at 28th. So, by the way, the top non-selected European MPO is Jesse Nieminen. He's 24th. So, tough decisions time, gentlemen. By the way, if a player is dropped, I think they should be available to be picked up by another player.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh.
Just making sure.
There's no waiver wire. There's like an
No.
instant waiver wire
It's an
clearing
instant.
here.
Yeah, it clears.
Oh, that's an interesting wrinkle you just added at the last possible second, Charlie, because now who I drop first, suddenly...
That's true. Who you drop
does
first
matter.
is important.
Can I use my 2 picks to drop a player and then pick them back up at the very end? Can I double swap this thing and hack the system? I'm not going to, but I'm just curious.
I would say yes.
Okay.
I think that's fair, right, Josh?
Yeah, because
Like if Jamie
especially
wants to
'cause-
drop Maria Oliva and pick her back up, go ahead, man.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, you want to use both your picks to keep, because essentially what we're saying is your team stays the exact same. You do not make a move,
Right.
and hope that
No,
we don't.
he would have to
poach.
pick up. No, he would have one person still change, right? Because
No,
let's say he drops
because-
Maria and then he has to pick up somebody else right then.
Yep.
Oh, then you're saying redrop that person?
Redrop that
Yeah.
person.
You said
Yeah.
instant
Well,
waiver
Maybe
wire
we shouldn't
clears
allow
here.
that then.
I mean, if you want to burn, and here's the thing though, is if he drops somebody who's good,
Right, then we're going to
we
pick him
could
up.
take it,
Right.
right?
Then you're
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
take 'em.
Okay, fine.
The only-
Fine. You do what you want.
right.
You have your roster, you make a drop and a pickup, and then you do it again based on the available player pool.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay, I agree.
Checks out.
Let's go.
Okay,
Let's
Time
go.
to go.
Jamie,
all right.
you got the first pick on the clock.
There's no drama here. We're not going to bury the lead. Maria, I appreciate everything. You got to remember your bag when you go to tournaments, but I know you'll get back up there. Right now, I'm going to trade Maria for somebody that has, since the first major of the year, not finished outside of 15th place. And almost all top 10s, Rebecca Cox. We're going towards the East. She's going to be closer to her home tournament she's familiar with. I think her average place, this is my average place play right here. This is a steady hand. Let's go, Rebecca.
Okay.
Is that the expected pick? Is that what you guys expected there?
Yeah, close to it.
I think
was
there's an
bummed.
argument for a few players, but I'm going to keep it to myself right now.
Well, you have to tell us because it's your turn.
Oh, God, I forgot. I thought I was going third.
Yeah, no, you're on the clock
I'm
now,
up.
Charlie.
I'm up. Okay. I have to drop Allie Smith. Before I do that, I just need to double check and see what Allie's been up to lately. I mean, it's been okay. She's trending in the right direction, but I'm just not convinced that I'm going to get better performance, enough of a better performance from her to make it worth keeping her on the team. The question is, do I like anybody else enough to pick them? It's not so easy.
You can switch gears and cut Eagle now if you need to.
I'm thinking about that, but I don't really want to make him available to the rest of you.
Just trying to play the game here. That's all.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call. I'm going to pick up Haiti Lina. The value of the increased European tournament group and like ability to squeeze the most out points out of Europe, I think is going to be valuable enough to outweigh what Allie Smith is capable of doing. And also, like, the next highest in the standings is Natalie Ryan. That's probably the obvious pick for Josh. I just think that Haiti's probably going to finish higher at the end of the season. I really like. I mean, she's been playing really well. She's got 3 straight. Well, that's a silver. I don't know how much that. I don't think that counts for the.
It does
main
not
standings,
for the world
but
standings. I don't
back-to-back
think.
top 5s in Europe. She was 9th at Champions Cup. That's going to be valuable. And so, yeah, I just think those major points are probably going to come into play. Natalie finished worse at the major, so I think there's a really good case for both players, but I'm going to go with Haiti.
Well, I'm cutting Katrina Allen. I know you guys are shocked by that. Here's the thing. When I look at a lot of these FPO players, they've played a lot of events. It's not like they're missing significant time. Rebecca Cox, for example, has played all but 2 events. One Copenhagen, so it was all but one US-based event thus far. Haiti has played a lot of events, though not quite as many. Luque Lorenzen has missed Champions Cup, but has played basically everything else. She kind of plays a lot like her and Bradley Williams both play kind of both the US and an extent. So the issue and the extent of the European side. So the issue for me with a lot of the players on the FPO list that's available is that without a win, I would anticipate that those other FPO players already ahead of them are probably not going to drop below them. And so Rebecca Cox, for example, is probably going to stay around 8th as soon as she continues to play well. I don't expect her to improve on that. The only player who I think could make those kind of improvements is Natalie Ryan, because she can get wins. And if she does, that does have the chance to elevate her because of the difference, as we were talking about earlier, in the drops versus wins. So I am going to take Natalie Ryan to replace Katrina Allen.
Also the chalk pick.
Also the chalk pick. It's the chalk pick.
It's also the logical pick.
Here's where my life gets really hard, because my worst standings player right now is Cole Radalin at 15 out of both divisions. Everyone is 15th or better, which by sheer math of the 3 of us, we should be covering the top 15 in both divisions, right? Like that's, if we picked perfectly, we would just finish the top 15. So this is where my life gets really difficult. I have 3 MPO players. I'm not touching my FPO team outside of that. Cat Merch is in 10th, but that would mean I would be trading down from Cat Merch, right? There is no player inside the top 10 available. I would be trading down if I got rid of Cat Merch. So I'm not touching my FPO team anymore. Means I'm going to my MPO team. I have 3 teens finishers in Aaron Gossage, Matty O, and Cole Radalin. I think I misspoke and said Kyle Klein earlier, but it's those 3. So who do I think is going to finish the worst of those 3 guys?
Yep.
And that's the question that I have to ask myself. And I am just so unsure about it. I think I just go... I'm just going to go with last year's finish to inform this year's decision.
Not a bad plan.
Even though he is not technically the bottom right now, I'm going to drop Aaron Gossage. He was worse. Cole Radalin finished 10th last year. Aaron Gossage finished 14th. Matteo was 6th. Matteo's going to do better in the woods. Matteo's not even the one. I didn't even consider him. It's between Aaron and Cole. Aaron finished worse than Cole. I'm going to drop Aaron. I'm going to pick him up for Mr. Gavin Rathbun.
Wow.
He has played so well this season, and I think Chris is technically the chalk pick. I mean, so Gavin is technically the chalk pick. I think Chris is probably the more popular one, but I just have really liked how Gavin's played this year, and I'm pretty thrilled that I get to add him to my team, to be honest. So give me Gavin Rathbun as my second pick.
Josh's average has improved to 7.4 with his 2 changes.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's a formidable team. You only have 2 players outside the top 10 in the standings right now, and those players are Cole Radalin and Matty O.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to overcome that, Jamie. All right. I have a big choice here. How much do I think Haley King is going to pick up the game here? And did she even play? Like, Haley finished 32nd and missed the cut at Champions Cup. Like, I'm straight up concerned about the level of play, not just the availability.
What's hard? What I can talk freely now. I don't really care what happens. I've already made my picks. I think what's hard for you here, though, is you need to ask yourself, not does Haley improve to better than Eagle, but does Haley improve to better than like
Lucky Lorenzen,
or
whoever I'm
or Lisa
picking.
Bakis? Or do you gain more spots with an Eagle to Chris swap?
I understand. Of course, that's
Yeah.
the choice. Of course.
Yeah,
that's
now I'm
the
narrating
choice.
your choices now.
No, I mean you're spot on. You're in my brain right now. But I mean, I'm like looking at Haley's results. Right? It's so bipolar. It's like
Yeah.
4th at Waco, 42nd at chess.com, 4th at Music City, 32nd at Champions Cup. I mean, she was 32nd at both of the majors so far this year. Like, those are almost auto drops. So she has to play well at European and Worlds, or I'm going to be cooked.
Is she registered at European Open?
No. What am I?
So she's carrying a 34th
Brutal.
as one of her majors.
Brutal.
Counterpoint, you're going towards the courses she's more familiar with compared to the first half of the season.
It's a great point.
And courses that suit her game quite well.
And the talent is unquestionable. She's easily the most talented FPO player. That, like, I'm not picking up a more talented player by swapping her.
No.
Her ceiling is, yeah.
And if I'm being honest, the only player even into consideration is Luca Lorenzen. And like, that's 13th. And right now, Haley's at 25th. Where did she finish last year in the standings?
Sleeping on Onneken Sten, I think. But
I hear you, but like, Onneken's
She's 17th
got
with a win, though?
and
Yeah.
still not.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see unless she wins again.
Haley
Last year, Haley finished 7th.
Let me give you a quick reference point, though. She did not finish outside the top 25 all season last year.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
Not
I know
an
this is going to be a
easy
really
decision.
difficult decision. Are you picking up any of the players that have been dropped so far?
No. I don't think there's. I mean, I just don't know. Like, Katrina, in theory, could like get right back to playing, but that feels like a risky choice.
I thought she said she wasn't planning on playing after.
I mean, I haven't even like considered Katrina. It just seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
She's not signed up for anything after D-Glow. Or I should say, she's through Des Moines, and then she's also signed up for D-Glow in September. So, like, in theory, but like, am I really going to get more from Katrina than I am from Haley?
Yeah.
That seems way too risky. So I guess the question I have to ask myself is, can I expect Haley to improve? Yes. Maybe she gets to like 14th or something like that. Am I going to get more delta from going with Chris, who, by the way, is playing really well this season?
And you're about to get into his territory.
I mean, he hasn't missed. He was 28th at chess.com, and everyone was like, oh, yikes, Chris. And then he hasn't missed the top 10 since then.
Yeah.
He's been rock solid, including a 6th at Champions Cup. I was more concerned about Chris with the injury stuff, but now I'm like, okay, like, he's going to be okay, and he's playing European Open. I gotta cut bait on Eagle. That's my decision.
Ooh,
It offers the opportunity for Jamie to think about taking Eagle, but I will take Chris Dickerson, and that means that I dropped the 49th and I put on a 9 onto the board, and that means that my average is down to 9.7. But I am basically going to be heavily reliant on Haley King and Paige Pierce to pick it up. If they both do, if Haley and Paige play really well down the stretch, I have an excellent chance of winning this thing.
You know what, Charlie? I want to wish you a congratulations. After your waivers, you have now caught up to where I was before.
You know what, Josh? Why don't we talk about the picks week in and week out?
I've retired from those, Charlie.
All right, Jamie, that was an agonizing process. I hope I made the right choice. Eagle could just as well get hot and end up finishing 8th on tour this season, and I'll wish that I had dropped Haley instead, but I have to play the odds, and Eagles' really bad performance at the major is kind of the thing that's weighing the most for me.
You know what's the crazy thing about my team? And look, I'll go ahead and settle this right now. I love Eagle McMahon to death. Love his potential. I already have Simon and Paul on my team, and it's kind of the same case as Eagle right now in terms of the consistency at the stage, and I don't want to say the stage in their career, but like the stage in this year.
You would be piling on the same exact risk.
Yeah.
You'd be tripling down.
That's the way to put it.
I'm looking at 5 years ago and I'm holding on tight.
Yeah. This is like being overweight on Tesla stock, not NVIDIA stock, right? Like, it's not the right pick right now. As much as I love the guy. So the chalk pick says I have to drop Paul Macbeth because he is the worst performing player on my team. And I never thought I would ever say that in the history of disc golf. But he is 29th in the standings.
No, that's Simon.
No, that's Simon.
Oh, that's Simon. Excuse me. That's Simon.
Simon.
So
I can't
Simon
read
is
Josh's
29th.
chart.
Macbeth is 19th, and James Proctor is 26th.
Yep, I misread that. Apologies, Paul. I hate to do this. Is a little bit of agony for me. This is a really tough decision because I probably should drop James Proctor based on past performance, but he's over in Europe. He played well there last year. I know, like, he just got married. He's doing the life stuff like so many of the players on our team are. And I still fully believe in the guy. And it would not shock me to see him get 1, maybe even 2 wins before the end of the season. The guy has all the talent in the world. And this could really bite me. But how can I drop Simon? Because one of the reasons he's so far down is he's been doing daddy duty. And we're about to go into his neck of the woods. And the guy's just playing phenomenal disc golf overall. So for that reason, I have to believe that Simon is...
I will note quickly, Jamie, just to interrupt you. He had a similar, empty schedule at times last year, and he still finished 7th.
It fits him. He's found the way for him to tour and play at a high level and not get burnt out on it, and that's dangerous for any field, anywhere. Oh, man, that actually makes the point. As much as I love Proctor's ceiling, as I still think Simon is a slightly, where they're both in the field, Simon gets the edge on who's going to win more times than Proctor right now. So hurts my soul. James, I'm sorry. I'll get you back in the future. But to make up for dropping James, I've got to get somebody who I probably haven't given enough credit to throughout his entire career. And it feels like it's like his time to get his due because he's a major winner now.
Oh, he's doing it.
The Prez. In a presidential election year, give me Prez.
Wow.
On my team. And here's why. Here's a little strategy here. He's only going to Europe for the European Open. So in split fields, this only increases his chance of really high finishes by staying again closer to home, both U.S. soil and sort of his region of the country. I think Missouri, Midwest, ish. But I think the split fields, if I can't take Proctor's wins in Europe, I'm going to capitalize on Prez being closer to the top no matter where he plays, staying stateside in the summer.
Curious, if you didn't have to drop a second, would you have kept Proctor over Prez?
Yes. And that's just purely probably because James is my boy and he's really talented.
Well, but also, I think dropping Maria Oliva, who is the worst performer in the whole field for us, right? Besides Eagle, but that's more absence based than performance based. That's a no brainer. You have to keep Proctor over Oliva if you could only do one.
Yeah. If you only
definitely,
yes, 100%.
All right, so there it is. Josh drops Katrina and Aaron Gossage for Natalie Ryan and Gavin Rathbun. Jamie drops Maria Oliva and James Proctor for Rebecca Cox and Andrew Presnell. And I drop Allie Smith and Eagle McMahon for Haiti Lina and Chris Dickerson. So Taking a look at where things stand right now with our new updated standings, Josh remains in the lead at 7.4 average. I'm at 9.7. Jamie is at 10.7. And we are all kind of rooting for different things. Josh has to hope that his team basically keeps doing what it's doing, and he'd love to see some outperformance over the next few months from Cole Redallen and Matty O to kind of improve. But there's probably not that much upside on Josh's team at this point.
You need Tatar back.
Yeah,
I do.
Having
Like, she's the queen.
First,
Tatar, Missy could slide up like 1 or 2 spots, but that's not going to drastically
Josh
change
has a
my
really
averages.
strong team. It's just, it's going to take some. He's basically hoping to hold me and Jamie off, and so
I'm hoping that Simon does not come back and play well,
Simon
and that
and
Haley
Paul-
continues to underperform.
Simon and Paul and Silva are kind of like the big, and Valor Mondahano to an extent, are the big ones for Jamie that he needs to see improvement from. My MPO team is the best, and it's not that close.
Who'd have thought
Josh's-
Ezra Robinson would be the higher placed brother?
yeah,
I made a bet at the beginning of the year that was going to be the case.
Did you really?
I did. I have a standing bet right now with a Discord subscriber.
Wow, I missed that.
That I think we did it in like the degenerate bets down in the Discord, so you have to go find it. But it was a couple tournaments in. I committed to Ezra Robinson.
Wow.
I feel great.
Were you just feeling spicy, or did you really believe it back then? And not
I really believed it.
good.
Like,
Dang, good for you.
but I also spicy. You know, it's
No disrespect to Ezra Robinson, by the way. Like I remember watching both of them like qualify for USDGC. They're both very good, but like Isaac's had more spotlight and more
absolutely.
expectations on him this year.
for me, it's all going to come down to Haley and Paige. If Haley and Paige play well and move up into the top 10, I have a good chance to win. If they
Are you
don't,
more confident
I'm cooked.
between those two right now?
And
in
Chris
finishing
Dickerson
higher?
could also help me out. I'd say I'm more confident in Paige. I mean, we've just seen the level of play actually look like it's there. Haley has not looked sharp.
yeah.
But on the other hand, it's high volatility. Like, Haley should start to pick it up on the courses we're going to see the rest of the year. But I don't know. I'm worried I'm going to wish that I dropped Haley. But the problem is the upside in FPO just wasn't there. Like, Chris could still finish fifth on tour.
Yeah. I am actually a little bit nervous that if like Nicholas is carrying 2 wins right now, and as other players get some wins later in the season, like there's a chance Nicholas slides down, and people like Chris or get to bump up. That Isaac Robinson slides a couple spots up.
I mean, besides not having Gannon, I'm not sure I'd make a lot of changes in my MPO side. I have Calvin, Ricky, Chris, Ezra Robinson, and AB.
Yeah.
Nah, you need to make
You need AB to hang.
I
on.
need AB to pick it up again.
Yeah.
The season is long these years,
Yeah.
and especially as we've talked about with the European and U.S. soil kind of split and having viable paths to pick up points both ways. I mean, by the time we get back to the Northeast, the classic stops like Maple Hill and Smuggler's Notch and all that stuff, like there's going to be, and that's kind of where I was thinking in trading out some of the younger players that I picked early in the year for a little more experienced hands for the second half is just fatigue by the time we get to October is going to be real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we see that happen, right? People hit the wall and then they just stop performing. And being a veteran on tour and knowing how to kind of manage across the course of the season is a big part of being able to be successful on tour. Anyway, very interesting. I think that every player, we all have a path to victory, is what I would say. Like,
Keeps
no
it
one's
interesting.
completely crushed. And I think that was true even before we did waiver wire stuff. But, to be honest, for me to be able to drop Allie Smith and for Jamie to be able to drop Maria Oliva, and I mean, I guess it all kind of washes out.
Katrina
We all
Allen.
dropped
Yeah,
a
because-
player who was like not doing particularly well or was just not a good player to have on the team.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Let's
You
come
got,
up with
you
some
got
more
any
fun
general
games.
thoughts on the season so far?
It's like a whirlwind. It's so much more of an investment to follow, but at the same time, I don't think a format like this with 3 players, like, back when I was on the show regularly, it would not have been that interesting because there would have been such a fall off in the middle of the pack and even like the middle of the cash crew. You know what I mean? Like outside top 10, inside top 25. So it's really cool because now we can do stuff like this. And I'm a broken record here, but I'm excited to see what the summer brings with the sort of split tour.
Off we go. Yeah, it's basically that. The split tour thing basically starts this week as we start to see some more American players heading over to Europe to play in the upcoming event next weekend, and skipping Preserve and Des Moines. So, Jamie Thomas, thank you so much for being here. We're going to take a quick break on the pod, and we'll be back for Preserve preview and picks. The prophecy will be fulfilled once again. Jamie, are you aware of what's going on right now?
I am not. Enlighten me on this
Jamie
prophecy.
has not been listening to the pod, Josh.
I'll admit, I'm lagging a little behind. Yes, I'm sorry. You had to expose me on air too. I
have picked sorry. It just had to happen that way. I have picked the correct winners in both MPO and FPO at 4 straight Pro Tour events.
You are on a heater. Okay, I see why you're retired, Josh.
I picked 5 of the 6
I'm out.
I'm on fire.
You know, by the end of my run, I was just kind of picking crazy stuff because there's no way I was beating Charlie week in and week out. I will give you your props, Charlie. You can pick him on the podium, man.
Thanks, Jamie. All right. Happy birthday to your son, and I hope all is well down in Baton Rouge, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Let's do this again soon, guys. See ya.
We'll be back on the Upshot.
The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bag in the sport. All of Pound's products are handmade in the United States, guaranteeing perfection in every bag. And backed by their lifetime warranty, Pound bags are built to last a lifetime. If you've been waiting to get your first or your 5th Pound product, head over to their website now, with lots of new, exciting products recently released. There's a new double convertible Rufus colorway in Kelly Green and Marine that is clean if you're looking for an opportunity to get your first Rufus. They also have 3 new colors of fanny packs that were dropped last week. I use my fanny pack for sporting events, going out to dinner. I carry my keys, my wallet in it. They're an excellent option if you're looking for just a little bit of additional style from your favorite bag manufacturer. Head over, get your bags today. Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bag in the sport.
Welcome back to the Upshot. Before we talk Preserve, I saw some chatter in the Discord, Josh. I don't know if I've seen this anywhere else online, but some folks who are on the wait list for spectating, or maybe they already have a ticket for the World Championships, got an email from Nate Heinold. And I'll just basically read a couple snippets from this email. Hotels are filling up very quickly for this event. Spectator ticket sales are well above expectations, and we are trending towards 15,000 spectators throughout the week, with more than 4,000 each day on the weekend. And so it's like, book your tickets, blah, blah, blah. There will be an event app for spectators that will be available for download from the App Store closer to the event. Josh, it's happening. Like, I've been thinking about this. I think we're starting to see people consolidating like when they want to go to a disc golf tournament around like the big tournaments rather than like there just being sort of this like overwhelming overall demand that means that everything is full. And I think that's why you're seeing, strong locations like Portland doing well. And I think we're going to see the majors do extremely well this year because people are like willing to take a trip to go to Worlds.
Right.
I don't think it hurts at all that it's like right in the middle of the most populous, coast. And you have all people from Florida to Maine can get to Virginia fairly straightforwardly. And I think that means we're going to see blowout numbers. I mean, I think we could see maybe the biggest spectator event that we've ever had in disc golf. Like Sunday might be crazy.
You think it tops European Open?
I think it could.
Wow.
I mean, they're projecting in June for an August event that they're going to have 4,000 plus every day. And what's the top out we've seen at European Open? About 5,000, right?
Yeah, we've seen north of 5,000 on a Sunday.
I don't know.
It could be close.
I think it could be at there.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Could be real close.
I feel like I don't know I don't know what this means for the long run. I do think it should tell the Pro Tour we really need, and the PDGA for that matter, we need to put Worlds in really smart locations. And I will say they are doing that, right?
Yep.
Middle of the Eastern Seaboard, well-established courses and, places we know where spectators come out in Finland next year. And maybe it's going to be Portland 2026.
Yep.
And those are all winning spots. We need to not see Upper Vermont again for a while. And no hate. The courses are great.
Right.
And honestly, the spectating was pretty great. But at the end of the day, you're really capping your ticket sales potential by being by the Canadian border.
Right. And in a remote location,
Right.
well removed from the airport. And
a Texas championships, I could see it. I don't know if they have the courses for it, but if you're thinking about how can we make this an event where we can really make some money from spectator tickets, which is a real possibility now, you got to be thinking about that, right? No more Emporia. That's done, right?
Oh,
that
geez.
is done. That was such a disaster.
It's so sad because you think about the world's runs up and you had Utah and that had the crazy finish and honestly went pretty well in that post-COVID with the spectators. You have Vermont, and then you keep thinking forward of Virginia, and then Finland and Portland, and the more Worlds just keeps being in great places, the more that Emporia Worlds just looks like a stain on the record. It was so bad.
Ooh, that was tough.
For reference, I jumped over to this ticket sales page. The wait lists are all for VIP passes. So you have Friday VIP passes and with merch are both waitlisted. Saturday VIP passes and with merch. Sunday VIP passes and with merch. Any general admission pass is still available. And if you really want the VIP, if that's what's really important to you, then you can go buy the silver VIP pass or the gold VIP pass, but that's going to cost
Those
you
are so expensive. How much is
$800
gold?
or $1,200.
$1,200?
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll sell.
So, yeah.
I think
everything else is still available.
Very interesting. That's just pretty cool. I'm excited to see what a monster crowd. We haven't had a monster crowd at a U.S. tournament besides USDGC maybe ever. I mean, last year's Worlds was pretty good.
Yeah.
All things considered. But I don't think it was 5,000.
No, I don't think so.
It felt like there was a big crowd, but it wasn't layers deep, which is what you'll get with 5,000.
Right.
I've seen those pictures from that peak year of European Open.
Oh my god.
Was it I guess 19 pre-COVID?
Yeah.
That was epic.
That was so full.
All right, Preserve. It's coming up this weekend. We've got 2 more U.S. stops on tour before a long break for the European swing. And, of course, it's in Minnesota. Cale LaVisca designed property. He sold the Preserve this year, but he's still involved. He's still the course designer. The course is pretty similar. It has not seen a lot of changes. They made a hole that they made too easy last year. They fixed and made harder. They changed a couple of pin positions in the middle of the course, but it's still going to be a birdie or die type of course. Keep in mind, there are thunderstorms in the forecast for both of the first 2 days of the event, so we could have some stoppages. We definitely could have some rain, and so that could, literally and figuratively dampen scoring. But I do think that, this still remains one of the courses on tour where it's you got to go out there and shoot 16 down if you're trying to win. And there's eagle opportunities. It's a sprint.
Yep. It rewards the aggression. It is a course that has very limited OB. The rough is not terribly punishing. There are certain spots, obviously, on every hole that you are going to put yourself out of position, but for the most part, you have to go for birdie, and par feels bad, but you will not take very many bogeys out here. And that's kind of the flavor of this course and of this tournament. I've got 2022 pulled open right now. Bradley Williams won that year, finished with a whopping 2 bogeys on the tournament. And, like Ricky, who took second, finished with a couple more, and that was the difference. So you really have to play well. Bogeys should not be a thing. I think it actually puts a little bit of an emphasis on putting, because if you are off just marginally and are edge of circle to circle 2 instead of inside the circle, like the difference between birdies and pars here are pretty significant. And so I think there's an additional pressure on putting where it's no longer just a case of like, oh, I have a circle 2 look for birdie. Like, that's a nice little bonus. It's like, oh, I'm stuck in circle 2 and I really need this birdie. It definitely is an interesting element to me, but it really does favor aggression. I mean, we've seen Eagle lay down. I will never forget the time Eagle laid down like the 550-foot roller that rolled to like the circle inside, like well within the circle. It was spectacular, and that's the kind of shots that are going to be rewarded here. But it does give you a kind of variety of like the toolbox. Players will rely equally on forehand and backhand, and does require an overall fairly well-rounded player inside of that style.
Yeah, so Ricky won last year because of his putting, basically. Mm-hmm. He was in the same ballpark as most of the top finishers, tee to green, but he went 93-36 on the putting green, and that separated him pretty significantly, actually, from Calvin and Cole Redallen, who tied for second at 32 under. Ricky shot 37 under. This was like a pretty comfortable, one of the most comfortable wins on tour last year. And I think a lot of people are going to be circling Ricky for a repeat. I've never felt more pressure for my picks in my life. But Josh, what I have to remind you is that it's the prophecy. It doesn't. I shouldn't feel pressure.
You shouldn't feel.
I just have to look into the globe and just regurgitate what it is telling me.
Do you actually have a globe? Like, what's your
I'm not
thing?
Revealing any of my secrets to you. Get out of here.
Look, I don't have the gift,
trying to get
Charlie.
an edge and dominating you.
It doesn't matter. I don't have the gift.
That's right. Important note, a few players are already headed to Europe. So Calvin, he's not playing. Eagle, He's not playing. Make sure you check, if you're doing fantasy stuff, you got to check the lineups. And I would check as late as, the end of today, because we could see some drops here and there. So, you still got some heavy hitters out here, right? Gannon, Ricky, Simon is back. Very important note. Simon is back on tour for the first time this weekend. He loves the preserve. We've heard him talk about it in the past. He loves a course where you can just throw as hard and far as you want and not really be at risk of going out of bounds. You've got most of the other top guys. Other names to keep an eye on, perhaps Anthony Barella, Cole Redallen, who finished second here last year. Could Aaron Gossage make a little push? That'd be an interesting name to watch. Ezra Aderhold. So on the FPO side, it's pretty much the same crew that we've been seeing. So still no Kristen, of course. But Owen, Holland, Missy, Haley is registered, Ella, Kat, Valerie Mondahano, Paige Pierce. That's your top-rated crew right there. Paige has had a lot of success here in the past, Josh. Do you think that she can back up the OTB win with one here?
I mean, this is definitely one of those courses that I think she could do it on. There's a couple of factors that go in here. It is one that, like the MPO side, I mean, this is one where the FPO scores are the closest to MPO. So I think that there's a good chance then that what that means is that rewards players like Paige. I mean, we see some of the further throwers who are the ones who get rewarded for this ability to birdie on every hole and be able to reach every hole plays a really big role in the ability for the FPO player who does end up eventually winning. The other note, and you mentioned this about Simon, there's just a lot of players love this event. I was up in northern Idaho this last weekend and was chatting with Casey White and asking why Casey White wasn't at the A tier that was up there. And he said he wouldn't risk missing the preserve. Like the pros love this tournament because it's this owned property where the disc golfers go, they camp, they fish, they paddleboard, they hike, they do all sorts of fun stuff. And so they love the atmosphere of it, in addition to a course that is relatively soft. It's an enjoyable one, I think, for them to go out and play that birdie fest. And it feels like for Paige, when the atmosphere is like this, when it's a course that she enjoys, when she's relaxed and like enjoying herself in disc golf, is when she plays the best. And so I think that can, in combination with the course itself, kind of sets up for Paige to play pretty well here this weekend. This is one of the, I think of 2 or 3 different opportunities for Paige to really get another one, and this has to probably be near the top of the list.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, she stomps people here in 2022.
Yeah. And there's no Europeans.
And there's no Kristen.
Right? Like, any other event that you think Paige is going to play really well at, probably is going to have the Europeans.
Going to have to go through KT.
Yep.
Last year, Katrina Allen won this tournament. She shot a blistering 1031 rated 57 in round 1. That carried her through to a win over Kristen. And remember, Preserve last year, like all the drama with Natalie Ryan, they're in court in Minnesota.
That's right.
The court makes the ruling. Natalie plays. Katrina Allen gets this like FU win.
This is where they
and
have
then
like
Katrina like completely lost she couldn't play the rest of the season. It was insane.
Yeah. This is where they had like the press conference.
The press conference, yes.
That happened
and
here,
this was the genesis of, the Pro Tour basically waving the white flag. Mm-hmm. And then the PDGA in the offseason waved the white flag because they were just, blowing money in court and not winning.
Yeah.
So we had United Series and all that stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some. I don't want to say we're going to see more of that kind of stuff this weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came back into the conversation in some way, if for no other reason than the fact that Natalie can definitely play well out here. Mm-hmm. So Katrina is registered, which I was very surprised by. I don't know if that will stay that way. I'd be shocked if she could play, unless she already gave birth, which I don't know.
I don't think it's the case. There's nothing on her socials about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that was supposed to be till July, but
anyway, we'll see. All right. It's time. I've been dragging it out, but it's picks time. Josh, I think I'm going to just deliver all of the picks, my picks first.
Okay.
I hope you understand.
I understand.
If you decide you want to just tail me, I get it.
Let me know for everybody out there. My picks are written down. I don't know what Charlie's picks are. Mine are down. That none of these are me copying Charlie. If we have anything the same, that is unintentional completely.
All right, so here we go. I'll start in FPO where I think there's a little less potential variance. In the 3 spot, I've got Ella Hansen. She's been, around that top 5 level here pretty consistently. Obviously, she has all of the power necessary to shoot really, really well. I think she's definitely someone who could win. There's not that many players on the list for me, but she is one of them. I think she's got a great chance to make a run. In the 2 spot, I have Paige Pierce. I really wanted to pick Paige. I'm not afraid to pick Paige. I proved that at OTB when I got my streak going. But I just think, like, coming off Bonnaroo and, like, just the overall where I think things stand on tour right now, I just don't know if she's quite going to have it. I think it's going to be a close battle, but I'm going to give the win to Holland Handley. I think Holland learned something about herself and how to compete to win. Josh, you had the great interview with her last week talking about that and being aggressive and attacking and not just trying to be neutral and say, I'm just playing it's me against the course. It's me against the course. No. Sometimes you have to figure out, how can I get an edge against my opponent?
Yes.
And I think that is going to unlock a competitive lever in her mind. I mean, you think about a player who's coming from an athletic background, and like you're thinking about how to beat your opponent, and like trying to be totally zen golfer just might not be the right fit for Holland. And she needs to think about how to beat her opponent. And she did that, and she won. And so I think this is a chance. Obviously, she has all the tools she needs to win on this course. She's played very well here in the past. She would have won had Katrina and Kristen not been here last year, who both are, well, Katrina may be playing, but she's not going to be competing for the win. And Kristen's not here.
Katrina's not there.
Yeah. So, like, Holland is arguably the favorite, unless you think Paige is back enough that she deserved that crown. So, anyway, I think it's a combination of the skill set and potential mentality shift that we may have seen. So I'm taking Holland for the win. On the MPO side, Josh, I'm going 3-spot Gannon Burr.
Okay.
I don't really think there's much to say here.
Yep.
You get it.
Best player in the world.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yes. He's the guy.
In the 2-spot, I've got Raincoat Rick. I am very concerned if it rains the whole weekend that Ricky might just blow everybody out.
He's very good at the preserve.
I find it hard for me to really convince myself to pick Ricky.
Lately,
he just can't quite get the job done this season.
Yep.
And so in my number 1 spot, I'm taking AB. Bounce back time. Bounce back time. Check out the Instagram. He's throwing a Zone OS like 400 feet. People in the comments are like, I couldn't even, like Drew Gibson's like, I couldn't even get over the water throwing that disc. The guy, I'm calling the shot. I looked into the globe. I saw Anthony Barella hoisting his 4th trophy of the season.
I may very well retire from picks. I just will refuse to make them if Anthony Barella wins this weekend.
There's not that much OB danger.
There isn't. I would really have to go back and look. I would like to go back and look at like all of AB's like
AB went OB 3 times last year, which was like pretty average.
Yeah.
Ricky went OB twice with his win. Tell me why he can't win. Like
I hear
he's
you.
back. He's back. I'm telling you.
Right.
This is the weekend.
Right. Okay. Well, let me give you my picks then. Over on FPO, fairly similar. I've got Paige in the 3 spot. Same thing. I've got Missy in the 2. Missy's hung around here. She's never actually been like close enough to win. It's never been close. But she took 4th here last year. She took 2nd here the year before. There's no OB,
Missy
so Missy
on the
just hangs
podium.
around.
It's never a bad choice.
Yes, like, and especially at a course that like doesn't really have a lot of opportunity to punish her in any way. Really, like it kind of like Missy hangs around, but she's nowhere ever close to the win. That's kind of what I'm expecting this weekend. But I've got Holland in the 1 as well. I everything you said makes a lot of sense. And talking to Holland, like we've interviewed Holland before, and I really enjoy interviewing Holland. But man, there was just something about it after this win that, like talking to her, I completely agree with everything you're saying about her being a competitor and how she can leverage that. And it's something that I almost wonder if more players need to do. Right? You think about the guy who like takes basketball games, guy or gal takes basketball games into their own hands, right? Like your point guard, your guy who's, or your just whoever's going to shoot, whoever your shooter is, or whoever really like makes the difference. When it gets clutch in like basketball games, you're thinking, oh, they made a basket. I have to respond. We cannot fall behind. We have to respond. We have to get a basket. And that's when some people play at their best. And so maybe Holland needs to do that every time now. That she just thinks about, for example, Owen put a drive in the circle. I must put a drive in the circle. Owen messed up. I know that I can get an eagle here. I'm going to push it and take 2 strokes on Owen. I know Owen isn't going to play the next hole super great either, which means I normally play fairway, but I'm going to go with a distance driver and I'm going to take another stroke on her. Right? Like, I think that's going to work for Holland. I hope she keeps doing it. I've got her to win it as well. MPO. My 3 and 2 spot look the exact same. Gannon in the 3, Ricky in the 2. But I've got Cole Redolin to win it. Couple reasons.
There's nothing you like more than picking Cole Redolin.
I love picking
How
Cole
many
Redolin.
times have you picked Cole Redolin this season?
Listen. Cole Redolin is my new Ella. Couple reasons why. Number 1, he's due, man. He's due. He But the more realistic reasons, he took second here last year. That's the only year that he's played in the preserve. So he comes out, hasn't played the course before, and is able to get second place. I don't expect Ricky to blow people out in the same way this year. And if Cole played that well in his first year here, it gives me a lot of confidence in him playing moving forward. I think decision making has often been kind of Cole's issue. And at the preserve, there just isn't a lot of decision making. It's just throw the disc to the pin. The other part that I really like about Cole, and this is something that you kind of gave credit to Ricky as well, Cole's from Portland, man. Like, he plays in rain all the time. He is used to wet weather conditions. I think that's going to be another edge in his favor, especially if it's super rainy this week. It's something he's comfortable with, and for all those reasons, then give me Cole to take down the win.
Hey, he's definitely got the tools. He showed that last year. That's a bold pick, though.
It absolutely is. I feel really good about my reasons.
Yes.
Which in the past, when picking Cole, it's more been like, all right, is this the time? Is this when he pops
Who's going to be the most popular pick this week? You think it's going to be Ricky or Gannon?
Ricky. It's got to be Ricky.
Yeah.
He's won, 2 out of the past 3 years here? And took second to Bradley Williams, I think?
Dominated.
Yeah, no. 2 out of the past 4 years, maybe. Because Nico won before Bradley, I think.
Alrighty. That is going to do it for this edition of the Upshot. Join us Sunday for our live Rapid Reacts. It's in our Discord. You can join in and listen to all of our back catalog of Rapid React shows with an Old World Disc Golf subscription. Go to discgolf.oldworld.com/subscribe. And you can also go to discgolf.oldworld.com/upshot-picks to check out all of our picks throughout the season. And if you're a subscriber, you can make your own. Good luck catching me. I got a 10-point lead over second place. We're rocking and rolling.
Killing it. One other housekeeping note, yes. Charlie. You are on vacation next week.
I am.
We are going to be having one show. It's going to be our Wednesday show. So catch Rapid Reacts on Sunday. Wednesday, we're going to work to have an interview from this tournament. And then so we will both recap the preserve as well as get you ready for the Swedish Open. And so that's the plan. Look for that show on Wednesday next week.
Great stuff. Thanks for holding it down for me as I'm out of office, Josh. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. Appreciate you being a listener. Tell a friend and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for the Upshot this week. We'll see you Tuesday.